This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's 7:15 here on the West Coast, and it's much later than that where Joe is. So welcome into the premiere show. We'll see. We'll re-air this a couple of times. So when you see this, it might not be live, but we'll make sure that. So this is going to be called Shared Horizons. We're going to give you some life advice from two people who could probably use some. That's our tagline for the show. But we're going to come on. We're going to go through some situations. We're going to call them situationships. Is I think the best term. So you haven't seen me on a show in a while. This show, I'm Jay. I'm usually J-Mac. Been on other shows. I've been doing behind the scenes stuff. Really busy the last year or so. And we'll welcome Joe back. So Joe, introduction. What you want to get out of the show and take away.
Hey everybody. It's been even longer for me since you've seen me on a show. And I'm out here in New York, and it's about 10:15 my time, which is in New York City. We're just getting ready to hit the town now. So this is nothing as far as timeline. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. If there's anybody I'd like to debut my return with, it would be you, Jay. And I'm looking forward to talking about life. I do want to correct our tagline. We'll keep it at probably, but it's definitely. We both definitely have been in some situationships and could use some life advice ourselves. So we're hoping we'll get some in return, and we're hoping to give some of our wisdom that, is a loose term. I'm not sure how wise we are, but we'll hope to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So Chris and I came on about a week ago, and we kind of talked about what the show was going to be about. And the reason for bringing this on to Coast is, we're sports life and everything in between. We have had a lot of sports shows. We've had a lot of entertainment shows. We haven't had a lot of life shows recently. So we're trying to bring that part back into the network as well. Seen us on some live events here in the last year. That's what I've been working on, is live event stuff. So you'll see us out there. But how do you get a hold of the show to send in something if you have advice you want something on, or something for us to review? You can message us coast to coast. You can email. There's a couple of different emails. You can even call. We'll give you those numbers out as we go here. So what are we going to talk about? You know what? Let's start with a strange relationship. I'd get your take on. I think we kind of talked about it, but let's get into the nails of the whole thing here. So someone I know, married, was living with her husband, decided she did not want to be with him anymore, but couldn't afford to move out. So they stayed together in the house. They have kids together. And then she moved in her boyfriend, who, by the way, the wife or the boyfriend didn't have a job. So now the husband is supporting 3 adults and 7 children. Then they weren't together. She went on vacation. He said he was going to, I don't know, go out, I guess is the term to use. And he met someone else, started seeing that person, and then she got mad. So, what's your initial thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, my initial thought is is that it's unusual, but then in retrospect, I'm thinking it's probably not. Life is pretty crazy these days, but I'm thinking that and I certainly don't want to denigrate anyone that personally, but yeah, that's a sticky situation for the husband for sure. I mean, I'm not sure why he would allow the boyfriend to move in. That kind of seems like he's lacking a backbone there.
Uh,
That's my initial thought in regard to him. But how disrespectful of her to to bring another man in, especially when you're saying 7 children. I'm guessing some of those children live there. I mean, what's their age? Well, what's their, yeah, I mean, are they in their 20s, 30s, 40s?
Mid 30s. Mid 30s.
So they're young, but not that young.
Not that young. I don't think they're that young. Yeah, it's just it's one of those. The wife in the situation is considered family to me. It's one of those like, what do you think? And I'm just like, I don't really know what to tell you. There's problems with this all the way around for me. So, I was just kind of taken aback. Like, I didn't even know what to say. I didn't have any words to say because I felt like anyone that knows me, I was probably going to say something someone didn't like, giving my honest opinion about that. I thought it was very shady and an unfortunate situation. And then all the kids involved in that, kids are resilient, but oh, excuse me. But I don't know. That's a weird situation.
What do the kids say? I mean, are the kids? I'm presuming the kids are young.
Actually, the oldest in the situation is 17, and the youngest is 6. That sounds about right in there. And the oldest one, the 17, now senior in high school, is just like, man, I got to deal with one more year of this crap, and then I'm out of here. So they're kind of over it. The younger kids, I think they just do the best they can to try to get along with everybody. I mean, they love their parents, both their parents, their mom and their dad, and as you should. So it's different for sure.
What's their relationship with the boyfriend? Right? Because no matter what, I mean, think about this. And I have friends who are divorced, and even absent the other parent in the home, teenagers especially, it's really awkward for them to live with another adult, right? I mean, I'm assuming is the senior and are the teenagers girls, especially? That's kind of awkward, even when their parents are divorced and if they remarry. I know that especially as they're in the 16, 17, 18 range, it's really uncomfortable for them. You're sharing a bathroom, it's especially at that adolescent time. So to me, I think there are bigger considerations than just the adult relationships. That's what comes to mind for me.
No, I'm with you. As a girl dad myself, I can attest to that. Like, there's definitely things, like if you were coming in as the other parent figure, yeah, if I hadn't raised, there's a lot of stuff I probably wouldn't understand, especially like you're talking about sharing the bathroom and sharing personal space. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I'd be like, what the hell does that mean? What is that? Or what does that have to do with anything? And then it's the emotions. Like, I don't understand what someone else is going through. Because I'm an adult. I would be an adult in that situation, and I really don't understand what kids are going through. And then if it's never happened to me, I can't put myself in that situation either. So I think a lot of support is needed all the way around for them for sure.
I agree. Now, what happened with, and it's kind of the twist in it is, how can it even cross her mind to be upset that he's dating somebody else? You're living with someone else, brought him into the home. And I mean, were there any fights? I mean, did the men get into any fights, or was it cordial? I mean, did she ask his permission to come in? There's just so many things I really love to know.
There's probably I figured there'd be a lot of stuff you would want to know. But let me preface that with, I'm also a guy, and so I don't ask those probing questions because honestly, I just don't care sometimes. Most of the time as a guy, someone tells you something, you're like, man, that sucks. And then you just kind of move on. So I don't know all of that. But that I know of, is pretty civil. No fights that I've heard of. I haven't heard anything being escalated as far as that goes. But yeah, it's definitely a strange situation, and she's definitely one of those people that, how do I say it? She cares more about the control of the situation than any other way you want to look at it, like just having the control of what's going on. Definitely.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you think about it in more psychological terms, I like to get into all that, the nitty gritty, but it's really her ego, right? That's bruised. It really has nothing, it's most likely has nothing to do with her feelings, because obviously she's moved on. Or if she cared about him in any way, she would have never even suggested to bring another guy in there. I mean, even in my darkest relationships, I would never, think to do that. And no one I have ever dated would ever agree to that. They just wouldn't do it.
But yeah, for me, I mean, looking at the guy's perspective of that, like, why would you? I don't know. I don't know. It's not something I could ever do. That's for sure. I can never entertain that. I'm also open-minded enough to be like, if you don't want to be together, you want to see someone else, it's fine. Just not here, not in the house where our children are. And that's how I see it. So that whole situation, again, you try to maintain relationships, because I ultimately I get along really well with the husband in the situation. Like, he made a trip out to they live in the Midwest, and he made a 2,300-mile trip just to come and hang out and play softball for a weekend. So that tells you how close we are in that situation. So you're curious, but you don't really want to push it. You just kind of want to move on with your life and just let them know you're there if anything comes up, or they have any feelings about that.
Well, that's certainly a demonstration of how he feels about you. But you'd play softball for a weekend with anybody. So, and I don't know how much you are to him. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Let's say almost anybody. Let's not say, not anybody. But almost anybody. Man, we spent almost 15 minutes just on that one. Because it was a doozy. I mean, it was definitely one to start with.
Well, the only solution here is, because we have so many unanswered questions, is you're going to have to fly out wherever they are and sneak a webcam into their house so we can get the whole story.
I mean, man, wouldn't that bring up viewership, man? That'd be something. Here's the reality show of the year, as far as that goes, for sure.
But
yeah.
So, in full disclosure, everybody, I forget how the technology works, and I don't know if we've got any questions or anybody's watching us live. But if not, and you're tuning in later because we really didn't have an opportunity to advertise, just drop some questions or comments in the chat, and we'll certainly follow up next week, with our advice or whatever it is that your thoughts are. I'd love to hear what other people think. Outside of the two of us.
Yeah. Um, just other stuff like East Coast versus West Coast. I'm kind of curious to get into some of that stuff because I feel like it's way different. And I personally I've never spent a single minute of my life on the East Coast of the United States. So so when you go into any references you're going to make, I'm probably not going to know what the hell you're talking about because I've never spent any time there. And I think one thing, one of the things that I hear people talking about all the time is they'll ask me, oh, hey, you got to go here or there. And I tell them it's like, from my house, it's about 20 hours to Disneyland. And that's unfathomable. Yeah, by car. And that's like unfathomable to someone on the East Coast because they're like, I've heard you say it before, in 6 hours, I could be in DC.
True. But what do you mean? Like in California, that takes you 20 hours to drive?
Yes.
Well, in full disclosure, I mean, I had when my kids were younger, I have driven into Florida, and that's how long it would take me to get to Disney World. But I don't make that kind of drive anymore. But you're right, I can drive to DC in 6 hours, unless there's traffic. But or I can hop on a plane and be there in 2. I mean, that's crazy. But think about it. For me to go out west, which I have done, it takes me about 6 hours by plane. So that's a long trip. It also would take me 6 hours to get to Ireland by plane, to put it into perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's 6 hours on a plane. So let's not pretend that you don't have to. I mean, you have to be at the airport early. It means you have to leave early. Like if I'm going east, right? First off, I have to leave at 5 or 6 in the morning my time because it's already 8 or 9 o'clock there. So then by the time I get to the airport, get on the plane, fly the 6 hours, get there. I mean, I've literally traveled all day. So it's a whole day flight. A whole day of traveling by the time that happens. And if you have layovers, then you're stuck in between and I don't know how many different airports you've been to. I wasn't even planning about talking about this, but I don't know how many, and I don't know how many airports you've been to, but I've been to some airports that I'm like, who is running this Mickey Mouse organization that's here? And then there's other airports I've been to. I'm like, man, why doesn't every airport run like this?
Agreed. I like many of the smaller airports, but I will say I'm going to go back to your earlier comment about a long day of travel. But I will say there are plenty of things in New York worth traveling for, and I'm one of them. So
it's okay. I mean, it's definitely on my bucket list, and I've actually mentioned that to actually my whole family. They always talk about, I've been to Vegas like 8 or 9 times in the last couple of years, and Vegas is fun, but I want to go somewhere that I haven't been yet. And I've been everywhere in the West Coast. I mean, you name it, I've probably been there. And then grew up in the Midwest. So I've been almost everywhere in the Midwest. But the East, that's where I want to concentrate on. I want to concentrate on going to the East Coast, the places I haven't been yet. So many things to see over there. New York. I like the rural stuff, right? So I actually would be excited to go check out New York, and then go to Vermont and like check out the backcountry back in Vermont and go through. That actually would be awesome, I think.
Well, and of course I'm partial to New York, but just this last weekend, I think it was last weekend, I went to Maine for the first time. I've been all over the East Coast, but I haven't been to Maine, and I just loved it. It's just a small, quaint place on the ocean. It was really beautiful. And there are other places on the East Coast you would like too. I mean, Savannah down in Georgia, great place. Nashville, you would love Nashville. We're certainly not New England, but down south on the East Coast is southeast of the U.S. is really nice too. I really want to make it out down to Texas too to see Chris. He's not joining in tonight, but that's a lot of fun. I haven't been there yet either.
Yeah, that'd be another place. But and I've heard the difference. Big differences. So I guess let me explain. Like West Coast, there's not a lot of differences between areas. really the big cities kind of on the West Coast. You have your San Francisco, your LA, your San Diego, probably Portland and Seattle, I would say, are like the big ones on the West Coast, right? So those areas are different. Everywhere else, it's pretty much the same. I mean, it's rural, it's small towns, take it that. But everyone talks about New York, and from what I hear, New York City, everyone associates New York with New York City, but there's an entire other state of like upstate New York that is just so far different from the urbanized part of New York.
And it is. And, I'm really from upstate New York, and it's, much more rural. I mean, there are certainly cities for sure. I mean, I work in a city, the capital of New York, but I live in a much more rural environment that is probably closer to your way of life out there. But I think and you could probably drive from place to place, but, I go to New York City all the time. I'm there at least once a week. My son goes to college down there, and I have other reasons to visit, but I'm certainly there. I would say I'm in New York once a week, sometimes twice a week. So it's really not far from me. So I'm in a big city, and then I'm back home and, in the same day. So that is the difference. Well, you're near Portland. I mean, that's a big city too, right?
We are near Portland, and I don't know if this is a East Coast, West Coast thing, but I'm going to bring it up and ask the question anyway. Where I'm from, we don't really like the big city. Like, we avoid going to the city if we can. So we don't go to Portland because we don't want to. We don't go to Seattle because it's not something we want to do. The traffic and all the people, and just we actually avoid going there. I don't know if it's the same way there, or everyone's excited to go to New York City or the other bigger cities there, but it's just something definitely out here. The people I'm around, it's like, man, I don't want to go to Portland. I don't want to go to Seattle.
Well, I wouldn't want to live there. And there are times in my life that I have considered that. I definitely don't want to live there. I don't care for the traffic. That's I don't love. I do like to go there occasionally. I love to go at Christmas time. It's decorated. I love to go to a show. I go to Broadway sometimes, or, a football game, or, maybe I'll go to a baseball game or a concert, things like that. But besides that, I don't typically go.
Sure. No, that's definitely understandable. So what is the big hit show on Broadway right now?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But the last show that I saw was Back to the Future, believe it or not. And
really? Okay.
And it was so well done. You wouldn't, believe it. And it, because I typically I'm usually going with guys, my sons, but I've seen the last couple of shows I've seen have been Beetlejuice and Back to the Future are the last two that I've seen, and they were really well done. Like Beetlejuice, I didn't think I would like, but I did. But Back to the Future was phenomenal. And that's actually in local theaters now. So if you have the opportunity, like it's doing a nationwide tour, if you have the opportunity to look, to go see it, I would definitely do it. I think Hamilton's back in Broadway. I'll have to look it up. What is the Broadway shows? So many of them are recycled, and I live by a local theater, so I do get to see some of them here off Broadway. Let me see what's currently on Broadway. Why you could be tempted to come for that, and right now it's the Christmas show, right? The Radio City Music Hall and the Rockettes. So that's worth seeing once. I mean, I wasn't. I'm not a huge fan of it, but so Wicked is still on Broadway, MJ the Musical, which is Michael Jackson, of course, Moulin Rouge. So, the Book of Mormon. Some people like that. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Oh, Harry Potter. That would be interesting.
I will tell you, it was not the Broadway production of MJ, but last time I was in Vegas, we went to a show that was the Michael Jackson impersonator. And the guy there is like top notch. I mean, it was like you were watching Michael Jackson on the stage. It was quite entertaining. And I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but a very, very good show. Very good show. That was done at the which place was that? That was done at the triangle looking one. Same one they do America's Got Talent in. I wish I could remember the name, and it's slipping my mind right now, but it was done there. It was very, very good. Very good.
I'll look it up. Oh, the Luxor. Is that where it was?
Yes. Yeah.
So I haven't been to Vegas in a really long time, but it's funny. We were just talking about that last week, though. A friend of mine are thinking of going out to Vegas to see some shows. And I know you're you're a frequent flyer there, right?
Yeah, I will say that Vegas, it to stay on the Strip is just insane now. Everyone charges resort fees if you're on the Strip, and then there's plenty to do if you're into exploring things, and there's plenty of free stuff to do. You don't have to spend a lot of money to be in Vegas. That's one of the great things about the town. There's so many free shows that you can watch. And if you're going out there, you have to go to Fremont. The Fremont Street Experience is one of a kind, world class. During the summer, they have 4 cross streets that cross through Fremont, and they have 4 different concerts going at the same time, and you can watch them all for free.
That's
and
fun.
I think it's not great. It's not big names, and they're probably not big names now, but they're big names that you would know because I knew most of them. They're early 2000s, 90s stuff, 80s stuff, 80s bands, but they're playing a free show that you get to just walk down the street and watch. So that was pretty fun. Yeah. So the Fremont Street Experience is definitely a place you'd want to go. I've been to. They have the World Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas, right by the Las Vegas sign. That's pretty fun to go to. Yeah, the Bellagio fountains are always great. There's so much to do in Vegas.
I will say that something got announced today that I'm very excited about, and I will travel to New York for. So one of my favorite bands is going back on tour. Did you see that today?
One of your favorite bands going back on tour. I did not see any news about a band going back on tour. So who is that?
So it's Bon Jovi. So
okay. I was going to ask if it was Bon Jovi, but hey, I'd be down to watch a Bon Jovi concert.
Yeah, so this summer I actually went to a festival and they had a band called Don Jovi. And it was a tribute to obviously to Bon Jovi, and it was so fun. So we could do next week or moving forward, each week we can talk about one of our favorite cities to visit. You can talk about one of your favorite cities on the West Coast. I can talk about one of my favorite places on the East Coast. We can, talk about our favorite airports.
There we go. Yeah.
I just, I recently flew out of, for the first time, a small airport in, it's close to the city, but not quite in the city. So for anybody on the East Coast who's, because there are some huge airports right in New York, right? You got LaGuardia, you got JFK, Newark is outside, right outside of New York and New Jersey. And those are just monstrosities of airports. And to get there, sometimes there's delays. My niece recently had to spend the night there because there was a delay. But, it was a refreshing change of pace. And, for a couple of personal reasons, I had to drive from here and flew out of White Plains, and it is just this small airport. It took like a minute to get through security. Like literally nobody was there. Security is like one person. The fares were cheaper. So I'm encouraging anybody who lives in New York, if you have an opportunity to fly out of the Westchester County Airport, it's just a treat. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'll come up with a list, but I'll tell you, those are my favorite airports. Definitely the smaller ones. I learned that down in LA. There's like 5 airports that surround LA. And then, of course, there's the monstrosity that's LAX. and the other 5 that are there, believe me, are a very, very viable option for you to fly in and out of, and they're so much faster. So I can name those off next week and get a list of those, but they're so much faster, so much easier to deal with.
No, let's only do one at a time because we want to keep people coming back.
Sure. We
We'll
can
hold them hostage.
do that. For sure. Hold them hostage. I like that.
All right, so I'll come up with our situationship for next week. There's certainly plenty I can pull out. Even I won't tell you which ones pertain to my own life. I'll throw in some fake names, but
There we go.
So I won't be able to tell my friends on the day that airs because I don't want any off-color comments or anybody throwing me under the bus. But if I'm talking about Bo instead of Joe, don't immediately assume it's about me.
Are we going to need to put a disclaimer up that says some of the names have been changed in this story?
I think
to
we should.
protect the innocent.
or we won't use the names at all. We'll just use
situations and whatever, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, them, they. I don't know what to use, but we can use any moniker, I guess.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is fun and exciting. I'm so glad to be back on the air. I'm glad it's great to see your face.
Absolutely. Had a great time. Watch for the re-air. And again, if you're not watching this live, just send us a comment or you can send us a message to Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. It's right underneath. You can almost see all of it underneath our nice looking faces here but Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. There's email, Coast to Coast Network 21 at gmail.com is a place to send that. Send us an email, comment on this, comment on another live post, just give us a shout out, send the email, send in whatever you want, and we'll try to answer as we can. Hoping to maybe we can do some live call-ins, like the show's going to go on as it goes on, so that'll be interesting to see where this goes. But I'm excited. I promise I'll have a better banner next time that'll actually say the show on it. I've got a whole logo all picked out to put on, and we'll put that on. But yeah.
Not only that, if you have a situationship you'd like to get our advice on, email that to us, and we'd certainly, we'll certainly love to give you some advice. Take in mind, you'll have to take it with a grain of salt. It's just our opinion. We aren't therapists, although we play one on C2C, but we're not actually therapists. But we would certainly love to give you our opinion, and we won't say advice, but we'll give you our opinion and what we think.
Opinion, yeah. We got to be careful with words because I guess words lead to a lot these days. But yeah, we do that. And then if it's East Coast versus West Coast, like if you understand nothing about the East Coast or nothing about the West Coast, or you would like the opposite. So if you want a man's opinion or a woman's opinion on a situation, feel free to shout that out to us too. We'll be happy to weigh in on that. So because sometimes it's better to look at it from the outside, from a different perspective, if you will.
It is. And, we have many differences, but I think our core principles are the same. And so we have that commonality. And so we're alike in many ways, but we're different probably in more ways. So it'll be interesting. So we hope you tune in. And if not, this is a good practice run for us. And when are we going to go be live? Have we decided Thursdays at 10? Is that our time, or we're going to still think it over? We're not sure when our regular time is.
I think right now we're going to do Thursdays at 10, but let's see. That may change. TBD. Let's see if we need to change that. So.
All right, perfect. All right, so thanks everybody. Thank you, Jay, and we'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see y'all later.